that's by way of an alpha hydroxy acid or beta hydroxy acid. All right. I do remember us going into the lighteners and brighteners, and we actually stopped on stem cells, and now I got back to my notes, but lighteners and brighteners, again, these are ingredients for clients that's needing to lift any darkened pigment in certain areas. Overall, lighten the color. We also went on and highlighted the stem cells as well, and got to be mindful to remember where are those derived from, and they're derived from plants. So that's what we got there. All right, peptides, I'll let you read at your leisure. And these are basically just proteins needed for collagen, needed for the elasticity of the skin. Retinol, you can go ahead and note that at the bottom of 317. Retinol is a natural form of vitamin A, and anytime we utilize retinol, it's because we want to help generate the new cells, help repair the cells, help normalize the skin. Sometimes it's also added in like night creams and serums and stuff like that. A little bit of retinol. And I love the process with the Mary Kay brand. They have the retinizing process for those who may or maybe have never used it. It's like a whole 8-week process to kind of build your tolerance up for the skin. Because again, it can also be irritating for somebody who have never gotten it. So to kind of have full concentration of retinol can maybe be irritating at first. So to kind of slowly walk them up is another option. And again, that just depends on the brand. So vitamins and other antioxidants. So antioxidants is definitely what's going to neutralize free radicals, which is coming up at the bottom again. And so, of course, you have different things that have antioxidants in there, but they just play a role when it comes down to the quality of the skin, the integrity of the skin. It just kind of, again, fight off free radicals and kind of keep them neutralized. So anything that has any antioxidants helps prevent those wrinkles, promote healing, quality in the skin. But again, that is what's going to counteract these free radicals that comes up again. And it actually pops up in a few chapters. But so again, with the free radicals, you will need to note, and I'll read for a second, it's very simple. Antioxidants are included in many skincare formulas designed to combat, as you already learned, free radicals. And again, free radicals are aggressive, unstable, oxygen-containing molecules. So they're just molecules. But again, they have lost an element or an electron and need to steal other electrons from other molecules. So thereby, they're damaging other cells because they're stealing. And so with that being said, that's going to damage the cell membrane. That's going to damage the normal cellular operations, if you will, the whole system of our cells, replenishing themselves and all that. It damages that. So again, this is why we will need antioxidants to kind of aid in neutralizing this whole process. Free radicals are just crazy, in other words, like they're just crazy. Yeah, they're all over the place, and as it mentions on the top, it can go as far as damaging the DNA, make the skin and the collagen harder, elasticity isn't right, and this is where sometimes clients' skin look bad. And that's why I feel like even with smokers, because again, one puff is like creating trillions of free radicals, so that's why their skin doesn't look oxygenated, doesn't look rich and full, just glowed up because of the inability of the cells to do their job. Free radical tan up. All right, we will need to know at the bottom when it comes down to the SPF, we'll need to know what SPF stand for, and that's the sun protection factor. And again, that's the ability of the sun not penetrating us too much when we have that layer of protection.
Yeah, I was reading that little box. It said that we can't use sunblock,
Mhm.
the word sunblock. That was
Right.
crazy.
And that's common in that word be. SPF is what we need to be doing. We're not really blocking no sun, it's just, we're exposed, we just need a layer of protection on us, especially at 100%. And then it's important to reapply sunscreen and all that, because, not, definitely, yeah. So we have some examples of organic chemical sunscreen, and then we have some examples of inorganic chemical sunscreen. The only one we'll need to know that is inorganic is gonna be the zinc oxide. Um, because the way it's gonna be again on your test, but you wanna know what ingredients is coming from inorganic and what ingredients is up under organic. But hold on to the zinc oxide, because that's gonna be inorganic, and you don't wanna highlight organic or this is inorganic when it's not. So inorganic, an example of that is titanium dioxide and zinc oxide are the examples of inorganic. Okay. I'm gonna end up pulling a lot of this Mary Kay product because it really goes along with this chapter. Um, as I'm getting through more and more of the products, I'm gonna make sure I have all of it. It's really capturing this really good. All right. Okay, so now the natural versus synthetic ingredients. So a combination of both natural and synthetic ingredients is one of the best chemical formulations. Natural products directly from nature can have a powerful effect on our skin because they're derived from like plants. But then we also have synthetically produced ingredients. And we're learning now in the whole beauty industry that they can be just as effective as natural ingredients. And so they mentioned in the second paragraph that natural and synthetic ingredients both have their drawbacks. So let's kind of get into what can be a drawback from the use of natural products versus synthetic. One example of a good drawback to natural ingredients, because sometimes people will have allergies and have these sensitivities, while synthetic versions may not have the same ingredients. So that's like one drawback of things being on the natural side, that it can be a little bit of a drawback there. But certain synthetic ingredients are effective as well. But you got to remember though, sometimes it may be unhealthy chemicals and do not harness the real essence or purity of that plant or oil. So just in closing with that, you got your benefits to natural, of course, because it's actually natural, but it's a drawback. People can maybe be sensitive to it or allergic to it. But then we have our sensitivity, our synthetic, a little bit of a drawback. We don't have the true essence of where it's coming from. But at the same time, we might not be exposed to these certain allergens that come along with natural ingredients derived from the actual plant. on in the chapter, with these two, boxes here, we have highlighted that term functional ingredients, and then we already had highlighted performance ingredients. And we were learning that ingredients is basically the part that's doing the work, like a performer on stage. They're the one doing all of the work. But the functional ingredients is just basically describing how it functions. Does it spread? Is it a gel? Is it a lotion? Is it a cream? So I like the way these boxes kind of just put a lot of what we've seen back into all of these pages. It really just captures it in the actual table, what makes it easier, in my opinion, for our study. It's all like snapshot for you right then and there as it pertains to the functional ingredients and then the performance ingredients. So again, just make sure we know the difference between the two, and then they give you good examples there. All right. Over on page 321, we'll need to highlight the third paragraph. Manufacturer. Yeah, and I'm gonna read through this too. Right, so yes, let's go ahead and highlight manufacturers do extensive research and development to bring the latest technologies into cosmetic formulation. So for an example, hyaluronic acid is an ingredient used to bind moisture, was initially derived from the rooster's comb. So we'll need to be mindful that, of course, technology changes, like all of this is changing. And then, of course, manufacturers, they do their due diligence by way of doing this extensive research to bring about the latest technology. So again, it's just important to be a student for life because things are constantly changing. Um, and as we're learning, some of those like moisturizers and things like that were derived from a rooster's comb. You know what a rooster's comb is? Okay, so that's basically that little fleshy part that's on top of the head, the cock-a-doodle-doo. The little red, little flap on top of the head. It reminds me of the little bird on the Kellogg's cornflake box. That's right there. And so they were deriving some of these things initially from that, but you can see how far we've come from pulling out these type of oils and moisture from that little fatty flab of the bird to now use another synthetic and natural ingredients. So that's the whole point in that as it relates to extensive research. We're getting better at that. And so they again go into synthetic products of this was developed, and today they have different things where we're getting it all from, different versions, of course. And then that's basically it there. We've come a little ways. All right. Organic, inorganic. Okay. So, um, organic, again, anything that's so-called organic has the presence of carbon, but at the same time, it's organic because it has not been altered. It's just from the ground or from this original source. Nothing has been added, taken away, or anything like that when it comes down to organic ingredients. But speaking of that organic ingredient, let's go to the second paragraph on page 322, and we'll need to note this. It is difficult, second paragraph, it is difficult to formulate products without preservatives and other functional ingredients to stabilize the product. So additionally, most products are 60 to 90% of water. So some products may use that label organic by the water alone. So let's just be mindful because it's letting us know that marketing statements do not always tell the whole story. And the last sentence in that same paragraph, they're letting us know that false claims are common in the billion-dollar skincare industry. So when we're reading things, a lot of time it's just marketing, getting consumers to really believe it because they have this big word spanked on it, like I am an organic. So clients feeling like, oh, I need this natural thing on my face. But just because the water alone in the product is 60 to 90%, they'll use a label like it's natural. So we got to understand that as professionals, that sometimes it is a marketing thing as well. So they kind of get into that in this particular page. All right, so of course, when we're dealing with our products, it'd be nice to have an approval by the Food Drug Administration. They require that all drugs are proven safe and effective, so that's what that page is talking about when it comes down to product safety. So we can't always guarantee things when a person is making a product out of their homes, and we don't really know what it's going to do, but it does help to have the stamp of approval by way of your Food and Drug Administration. Um, so let's get into some allergic reactions. So, clearly we're doing our own thing. We got to be mindful of that as well when it comes down to allergic reactions. But let's get into it a little bit. Highlight many ingredients used in skincare products, including fragrances and oils, preservatives, may cause adverse skin reactions. So continue highlighting that being aware of a client's allergies and the ingredients being used in treatment, of course, it's important to avoid problems or reactions. So if anytime the client maybe has a reaction, cortisone is just good for us to know to use. But again, fragrances can be the reason, things like that. So that's why it's always good to do tests when we're dealing with different chemicals as well, and follow manufacturer's directions, of course, with different patch tests to determine those allergic reactions. Inner elbow, behind the ear, these sensitive places. Okay. And so over on page 324, a few pages in, they kind of give a big old list of natural and synthetic ingredients. And they walk it all the way down from your alpha hydroxy acids to alcohol to collagen, glycerin, herb, hyaluronic acid, peptides. So a lot of the terms that we kind of work in, it basically wraps up nicely on pages 324 and actually over to 327. So you kind of have a nice little caption of a lot of the terms that we kind of went through, but it's put very nice together. So a person like me do like flashcards and stuff like this. When it comes down to the specific ingredients, and then it describes what those ingredients are. Down to the petroleum jelly being an inclusive, where it kind of covers your skin and keeping your natural water levels there. Zinc oxide, all of that is there. It also gets into some natural ingredients. This will help with the actual product to develop. So if you did anything like a carrot, for example, you might have a can of carrots tonight, and just by you pulling that out, you can just learn that the primary benefit, let's say, of a carrot is the antioxidant, it's moisturizing, it's soothing, and just down to cucumbers, like it's all there. Jojoba, lavender, all of this there. Even down to the natural ingredients over on page 327. Papaya, an orange, olive, soy, tea tree, witch hazel. Again, are all different ingredients that we can use. Down in the oatmeal we have mentioned, it's good for the soothing, anti-inflammatory, and healing. But again, it just gives a nice little synopsis of all the ingredients that's out here. And this, to me, takes a while to kind of swallow.
Yeah,
What
I'm
all it
reading
is.
this.
Yeah, this one takes me a while. And it's going for me hand in hand with all of the, products I'm considering with, Mary Kay line, it's all, it's just product knowledge. And so it goes on to more, oils and herbs, so they get into those, oils and herbs, but again, down to the lemongrass, down to the peppermint, rosemary, benzoin, all of that again is there. What's the whole purpose of them? The skin benefits, even down to the bottom. Again, they get into some natural food ingredients. Again, coming back around to some of the things we've seen: papaya, oatmeal, tea, even yogurt can be used as a mild astringent, used in masks. And these are ways to even customize your own, maybe at home for your own personal use, to kind of see if it does better on your skin versus buying and trying a whole lot of different things. You might want to come to a point where you can give it a go for yourself to see how it does on your skin. Some of the natural foods. Um, so again, it's a beautiful list here of all different things. So it's just interesting to see how you're able to concoct that to see how it works. So, all right. So herbs and plant properties, we can go to 330. Um, I'll let you read it for leisure, but again, some of the properties are antiseptics, astringent, stimulating, calming, and they're giving us some of the things that's doing that. Chamomile, um, eclipsis, and all that, wintergreen, spearmint, so on and so forth. Aromatherapy we are familiar with, when we're talking about the fragrance and the whole purpose of, the fragrance of something, the essential oils that being used. And again, that's just for the effect on our brain, on our body, on our emotions to make a better experience. Phytotherapy, do highlight that, we'll need to know that for the test. That's the second paragraph of under aromatherapy, and I'll read, highlight, to retain the plant's natural living properties, it must be extracted properly. Synthetically produced oils do not have the therapeutic value that natural oil retains, so phytotherapy is the use of plant extracts, for therapeutic benefits. So just different parts of that plant, making products of the oils and essentials from the root, bark, stem, seeds. So you're pulling it from a certain way, certain place on the plant. Okay. Okay, so let me just recap really quickly. And I believe we'll be ready to close out this, but you'll definitely take as much, you're gonna need some days on it, like the rest of the week to process all of this, but, let me recap. So we went through learning the difference between performance ingredients and functional ingredients. We also learned at the beginning of this chapter that we cannot claim a product is going to get rid of anything. We can only claim that it will help maintain, preserve, beautify type thing. We understand the difference between cosmetics and drugs. Cosmetics we learn is more topical. Drugs is going to affect the structures and functions of the body. We went into how much of a large part water makes up, in our skin. We talked about things like emollients or types of moisturizers or, occlusives, which are thicker products to allow our natural water level to be in our skin, stay there, so we don't be just evaporated, the moisture out of our skin evaporated throughout the day. We went into, the first moisturizer to ever be made was the classic cold cream. Noxzema is the first one coming to my mind, one of the most common ones I know in my family, but Noxzema. Comedogenic, was another word. We talk about the genesia is what I'm going to say. Talk about the blackheads, more prone to that. The actual surfactant, we have discussed the surfactant. Basically, it's like a detergent, or cleanser. And then when we're talking about these cleansers, we know that emulsifiers are added in there as well because they allow things to emulsify, to even create soap and suds. You can't have it without surfactants in place, if you will. We talked about the importance of fragrances. We know the purpose of preservatives. If we don't have preservatives in our product, we will have an onset of bacteria, fungus, molds, and all kinds of stuff. Color agents are added for the visual purpose of things. We talked about some exfoliating ingredients, and we talked about chemicals specifically like alpha hydroxy and beta hydroxy. Um, we do know the whole free radical concept. We understand that the sun protection factor is our SPF. We then went into some natural and synthetic ingredients, and it kind of gave us a lot of nice little charts pertaining to that. We learned some pluses and minuses for things coming from natural sources and things coming from synthetic sources, like allergic reaction, for an example. Um, okay, so that brings us to product selection. So on the bottom of 332, 332, highlight green tea on top. Yeah, this is an ingredient. Okay, so on top of 332, before I get into product selection, we're gonna need to know that green tea is good for microcirculation problems. Yes, antioxidants is real good and all that as well, but remember that term microcirculation problem. Anybody that got like high blood pressure or weird circulatory problems, green tea is a good source to help that. So now I want to talk about product selection. Okay. So we are familiar with the idea. We have all kinds of products that are formulated for different skin types and different skin conditions. We only will know what to use once we learn what the client's skin type or condition is. That's the best way, the only way to know what product to select. And so some of the main categories for our products we are able to see there on the bottom of 332 are cleansers, we need exfoliators, we need hydrators, we need sunscreen, we need toners, we need masks, we need serums, ampules. This is overall the main meat and potatoes of our products. So yes, we got different variations of it, meaning like we have different types of cleansers, like cleaning gels, cleaning lotions, cleansing creams. And now again, that will depend on a person being dry, a person being oily, a person being a combination. And most times, if that person is oily, the cleansers tend to be like a foaming based cleanser, more detergent, more surfactants, if you will, in there. And if a person doesn't struggle with dryness of oiliness, or maybe it's dry, then yeah, you want to maybe have like a cleansing gel or milky cleanser that's going to aid in hydrating the skin. So we already know the benefits of cleaning, using cleanser products, because we have to get rid of dirt. We have to begin to pull out anything out of the skin so that we can go in with products that's going to do what it's designed to do. And so the benefits of cleansing, again, dissolves makeup, get the dirt out the pores, so on and thus forth. But specifically, as far as highlighting what we need, is up under types of cleansers, and it's the first sentence. Cleansers for all skin types and conditions come in three basic forms. You got some gel cleansers, lotion cleansers, and then we have cream. All products are unique and depend on the ingredients in that particular product. But keep this in mind, reading both each product categories, these are general categories, not absolutes, meaning there are other types of cleansers. They're just kind of giving us the grand scale of things. So we want to be mindful of those three. We also have toners.
That was it on that page,
Yes,
just
the three.
general.
So the three basic ones, the gel, the lotion, and the cream. We have to know three of them, and then you can review kind of like more about it. But yeah, three is the main thing we need to take away. And so when we come into the next product, we have toners. So the whole purpose of our toners is to remove any residue, maybe left by the cleanser. Fresheners, again, restore the pH of the skin. And then we have some astringents. They have a temporary tightening effect, like a sea breeze is like an example of an astringent on the skin, helping to clean the follicles out as well. Um, but the one we'll definitely need to know for the test is the toners, because we want to know that they have the higher alcohol content and are designed for normal and combination skin. Toners. Fresheners tend to have a lower alcohol content. Astringents have the highest. But your toners, again, do have a high alcohol content, but also designed for normal and combination. But astringents is going to definitely help out with people that have acne more oil, because it's more alcohol to get rid of it. So out of your three toners, you kind of want to be mindful of fresheners is like fresh, simple, clean, soft, mild. And then we have our toners, which is in the middle of all that, good for normal combination. So when you start pulling out astringent, things like a sea breeze and stuff like that, blue, cool, like looking products, those tend to be a little bit on the higher side. So if you got oily skin, that'd be cool. Okay. So again, we have our cleansers, we have toners. Now we're gonna move into exfoliators. Um, we talked about this, but exfoliation can happen both chemical and mechanical. Um, it does help to open up the pores, gives it a deep cleaning. But again, we did learn about the gentle scrubs, gentle pills when it comes down to alpha hydroxy acid. So just again, we have mechanical, and then we also have chemical ways to exfoliate the skin. And the whole objective with these exfoliations is that we are taking away dead skin cells. And I know sometimes people are not sure, like, well, how does the chemical exfoliation work? Like, what is happening whenever I put the alpha hydroxy acid on the skin? Like, yeah, I know it's exfoliating, getting rid of the dead skin cells, but what's literally happening? So when we come to the top of page 236, it kind of lets us know that because the intercellular matrix or glue that holds the decimals together, which is what's binding cells together, these guys are just being dissolved by that chemical. So the material, if you will, decimals is holding these cells together. And so once that chemical comes on, it dissolves that. So now it's able to shift and come on off the actual skin. And that's in a nutshell, that's basically what that chemical exfoliation, the chemical peel is doing to our back into the skin. Okay. Let's go to 337 on top, as it relates to another mask. The second type of enzyme peel mask, which is a more milder, chemical to use on your face. That's going to be the Gomage. The Gomage is also known as a roll-off mask. In a cream form that is applied, then the mask is just kind of rolled off. It may have some earth, it may have some oatmeal in there, but this is a combination of an enzyme and a mechanical exfoliation. But again, all used for tightening, drawing up impurities, so on and so forth. Okay, and we are about done. So they coming to the next product. Of course, we know we have cleansers, we have exfoliation products. I'm sorry, we have different toners. But now we have masks. Okay, 337. We have some benefits with the mask. Now, you have all types of masks. You have non-setting masks such as cucumber or aloe. You have cream masks that do not dry on the skin. You got setting masks that contain some setting ingredients like a paraffin wax. But the clay one is the one we need to highlight on 334. That's the one you want to know about. So the clay masks draw impurity to the surface of the skin as the mask dries and tightens. That clay also stimulates circulation and temporarily contracts the pores of the skin. These masks contain clay, kaolin, bentonite, and some other ingredients to kind of help do what it is supposed to do. And that's basically healing and antiseptic properties. They can be applied with a mask brush. You can apply with your fingers, but for the most part, they will need to set about 10 minutes or when they're fully dry, depending on manufacturing. Paraffin wax are good too, other masks. Um, and last but not least, nothing else is left for the test, but then the last couple of products would be things like serums and eye creams, lip treatments, moisturizers, and then again self sunscreen, of course. And that basically wraps up the chapter. This was a good chart the ladies did as it pertains to this chapter when